Welcome to today's webinar, Comprehensive Improvement Planning for Districts and Schools and Navigating eProof. This webinar is brought to you by District 180 in the Office of Continuous Improvement and Support at the Kentucky Department of Education. Our objectives for today are that you will be able to understand the regulation governing improvement planning for districts and schools, access information outlining 3 options for goal development this year, locate the updated goal-building template for districts and schools, and navigate the eProof platform to ensure successful uploading of improvement plans and attachments. To meet those objectives, we will cover a series of topics today, including a review of the improvement planning regulation and improvement planning timeline, 2020-2021 goal-building templates, posting requirements for districts and schools, the eProof platform, efficient naming of diagnostics, completion and compliance monitoring, resources available to help you with planning, and contact information should you have additional questions not discussed during today's webinar. 703 KAR 5:225 establishes the continuous improvement planning process for districts and schools. This regulation outlines key components of the plan, defines CDIP and CSIP, establishes the reporting timeline, and emphasizes posting requirements of the CDIP and CSIP to the district's website or school's website. The improvement planning timeline is broken into a series of phases. Each phase runs the course of several months. However, all diagnostics at both the district and school levels are available in eProof beginning in August of each year. You are encouraged to proactively plan versus waiting for a deadline. The timeline for this year is as follows. Phase 1, August 1 to October 1. Continuous Improvement Diagnostics for schools, Continuous Improvement Diagnostic for districts. Phase 2, October 1 through November 1. The Needs Assessment for schools, the Needs Assessment for districts, School Assurances, District Assurances, School Safety Report, District Safety Report. Phase 3, November 1 to January 1. Professional Development Plan for schools, Professional Development Plan for districts, Comprehensive School Improvement Plan, Comprehensive District Improvement Plan, Closing the Achievement Gap Diagnostic, Executive Summary for schools, Executive Summary for districts, the Superintendent Gap Assurance. Phase 4, January 1 to December 31. Continuation of Learning Plan for districts, Progress Monitoring. If you've been involved in the completion of diagnostics in previous years, you'll notice a few changes. The Title I Annual Review has been incorporated into the School Assurances Diagnostic. There are also 2 new diagnostics this year. The Professional Development Plan is a new diagnostic at both the district and school level. This diagnostic will support the district and schools in designing and implementing a professional development plan that aligns to the goals established in KRS 158.6451 and the Local Needs Assessment. Misty Higgins in the Office of Teaching and Learning will be your contact for assistance with this plan. The Continuation of Learning Plan is new for districts this year. This diagnostic will support the district in designing and implementing a plan for a continuation of learning during times when non-traditional instruction may need to be implemented in order to prevent a loss of learning. This diagnostic is due May 1 and will describe the plan for the following school year. Steve Kissinger in the Division of Innovation will be your contact for questions regarding the Continuation of Learning Plan. There are 2 additional diagnostics that, while not new, they do have new information associated with them. Questions regarding the safety report for both schools and districts should now be directed to Doug Roberts with the Division of Student Success. The Superintendent Gap Assurance will require a revised process this year because of the lack of K-Prep data from the 2019-2020 school year. This diagnostic supports the requirement from KRS 158.649 that the superintendent reports any school that fails to meet its targets to reduce the gap in student achievement for any student group for 2 consecutive years. When completing the 2020-2021 Phase 3 Superintendent Gap Assurance, superintendents should use 2017-2018 and 2018-2019 data. Please note that while this makes the answer to this year's gap assurance the same as the previous year's entry, a new diagnostic must still be created in eProve. The newly revised diagnostic includes a supplemental form that superintendents must complete if one or more schools did not meet its targets to reduce the gap in student achievement for any student group for both the last 2 consecutive years. The Continuous Improvement Diagnostic for districts and for schools is the simplest diagnostic to complete, as it only requires a signature and date from either the superintendent or principal of the respective institution. Though easy to complete, a signature indicates your commitment to improvement planning. It also is a good resource to download and save to your desktop after completion, as it lists the improvement timeline and could serve as a good reminder of what is due and when. Likewise, because plans are to be uploaded to either the school or district website, this diagnostic is helpful to the community who may be interested in the contents of the plan. The diagnostic gives a working definition of what a CDIP or CSIP is and which stakeholders are involved in improvement planning to ensure students achieve at high levels. Let's look at the offline templates that are used in the development of improvement plans for districts and schools during Phase 3 of the continuous improvement process. These templates are downloaded to a computer from the Comprehensive Improvement Planning website. Teams of stakeholders collaborate to determine the goals, objectives, strategies, and activities that will address the needs that were identified in Phase 2. Goals addressing specific indicators are required at the school and district level. The required school goals include the following. For elementary and middle school, proficiency, separate academic indicator, achievement gap, and growth. For high school, proficiency, separate academic indicator, achievement gap, graduation rate, and transition readiness. There also are sections for additional considerations for schools identified for ATSI and CSI. CSIPs and CDIPs are developed as 3-year plans. The continuous improvement process involves reevaluating needs and strategies each year to determine if revisions are warranted. The lack of K-Prep data from the 2019-2020 school year creates a challenge for goal setting on the required planning template. When updating the planning template, the KDE COVID-19 2020-2021 Improvement Planning document found on the Comprehensive Improvement Planning website describes 3 options for developing your goals. Once completed to satisfaction, each template is uploaded into the eProve platform as an attachment to the corresponding diagnostic. Comprehensive improvement plans for schools and districts must also be posted online according to requirements in the Continuous Improvement Planning Regulation. The CDIP for each district must be posted to the district's website. Each diagnostic that makes up the plan must be posted, including the Executive Summary for districts, Continuous Improvement Diagnostic for districts, Needs Assessment Diagnostic for districts, Professional Development Plan for districts, Comprehensive District Improvement Plan, Superintendent Gap Assurance, and the District Assurances. It is important to remember to also include any attachments that may have been referenced and uploaded in the diagnostic sections of eProve. If you link any attachment, please ensure that permissions are enabled so that anyone in the public can view those documents as well. Although the district safety report is referenced in the timeline and phases, it does not have to be posted as part of the district's plan. This diagnostic is a requirement of another statute and is not part of the actual CDIP. The CSIP for each school also must be posted to the school's website. Again, this includes all diagnostics shown here and any attachments as uploaded in eProve. As with the district diagnostic, the school safety report referenced in the timeline and phases does not have to be posted as part of the school's plan. Now, let's look at some important components and processes of the eProof platform. In this section, I will show you how to access the eProof platform, update your head of institution, how to rename diagnostics from previous years, how to create a new diagnostic, how to add an attachment, and how to know when your diagnostics are complete. First, let's log into the eProof system at cognia.org. You will see a login button in the top right-hand corner. If your district's eProof administrator has previously entered you as a user in the eProof system, you will enter your login information. In the upper left-hand corner of the My Journey dashboard, you will see your institution's name in bold print. Under your institution's name is a gray link that says Institution Update. Click that link to update your head of institution. Here you can see the information connected to your institution. In the contact box, you can update the relevant information. The head of institution, HOI, is the name that populates on the cover page of diagnostics when they are downloaded or printed, the superintendent or principal. The primary contact might be someone designated by the HOI to have access to eProof. For example, someone in the school or district who has primary responsibility for work on the improvement plan might be designated as a primary contact. A primary contact is not required. When you click Send, your request will be processed by staff at Cognia and not KDE. After completing these steps, it will take 5 to 10 days for the new head of institution to populate on forms. In addition to updating the head of institution when needed, it is also the responsibility of the district or school to manage its eProof users. By scrolling down on the My Journey dashboard, you can access the Diagnostics dashboard. Here you can manage users from the hamburger button, 3 lines, in the upper left-hand corner. Districts and schools are responsible for deleting accounts no longer in use, changing the status of any user, disabling accounts, etc. Any user who contributed to a diagnostic but is no longer an employee of the district and/or no longer needs access to a specific school or district's plan cannot be deleted. Those accounts can only be disabled. Because each district and school has multiple plans in its library, KDE recommends the careful naming of plans to ensure these are easily discernible from one year to the next. Prior to opening the new diagnostics for 2020-2021, please be sure that the previous year's diagnostics include the year. For example, 2018-2019 Title I Annual Review, 2018-2019 Closing the Achievement Gap, 2019-2020 Title I Annual Review, 2019-2020 Closing the Achievement Gap, etc. In addition to renaming any documents to include the corresponding year, please lock the previous diagnostics to prevent additional changes. Modifying the name to include the year and locking the diagnostic will help to alleviate any confusion when attempting to distinguish this year's diagnostics from any previous years. For additional tips on renaming and locking diagnostics, please consult the eProof user manual. Each year, districts and schools are required to create new versions of each diagnostic. This helps to account for the minor changes to compliance that occur from year to year. Districts and schools that update prior year diagnostics instead of creating new diagnostics will be considered out of compliance. To create a new diagnostic, you should click the New Diagnostics button in the upper right-hand corner of your diagnostics dashboard. From the drop-down menu, you should select Browse Content Library. After you have accessed the content library, you can select the diagnostic you wish to create. Notice here that we have 2 versions of the continuous improvement diagnostic on the screen. One is for schools and one is for districts. If you select the wrong version for your institution, you will be considered out of compliance. After you have found the diagnostic you wish to open, Click the vertical ellipsis at the end of the row. You then will select Start a Diagnostic with Custom Content from the drop-down menu. The district-level dashboard includes an additional option to Start Administration. This option allows the district to assign and start a diagnostic on the district's dashboard and selected institutions within the district. As you begin your new diagnostic, you should complete all the fields at the top. Be sure to rename your diagnostic so it is easily identifiable. Click the blue button to open the diagnostic. Some diagnostics will allow you to upload attachments. The attachment feature can help save time and prevent unnecessary typing. Attachments can be either documents or links. It is best practice to upload all documents, but if you decide to link to a document, it is important that any linked documents are set up to allow for public viewing. When you get to a question that allows for attachments, you will see an Attachments link under the question. Click the link to add an attachment. When you open the menu, you will see a list of previously attached documents. You can see here that we do not have any previous attachments, and an option to add an attachment. Click the Add an Attachment button to begin the upload process. The attachment dialog box will open. Simply drag and drop your file into the gray area, give your file an easily identifiable name, and write a brief description. Click Next to follow the prompts to complete the upload process. After you complete your diagnostics, you will want to check yourself for compliance. Institutions must complete the required diagnostics prior to the established timeline discussed earlier in this webinar. To ensure that you are compliant, you want to look for a blue circle with a check mark next to the name of each diagnostic. You may lock your diagnostics to prevent further changes, but you are not required to lock diagnostics for compliance. This is what a compliant document will look like. You can see that the 2020-2021 Phase 3 Comprehensive District Improvement Plan has a blue circle with a white check mark. Any other symbol here would indicate that this diagnostic is not complete and therefore not compliant. The Kentucky Department of Education is required to monitor compliance with the planning timeline outlined in 703 KAR 5:225. Compliance will be monitored through eProve at the end of each planning phase, and schools and districts will be notified of missed deadlines or incomplete diagnostics. Having primary contacts and/or heads of institution updated in eProve will ensure that communication reaches the appropriate person. A sample compliance email is on the screen. This is an example of what a district might receive from KDE. The school-level email is similar. However, it lists those diagnostics schools are responsible for completing. When emails are sent after the end of a phase, please read the email carefully, as not only does the email include which diagnostics are not started or are incomplete, it shares which are complete for the phase at hand. If you receive an email indicating that all diagnostics are complete, no further action is required. We have shared information on many improvement-related topics today. The Kentucky Department of Education provides many resources to assist districts and schools as they engage in the improvement process. The Comprehensive Improvement Planning website provides information to further the understanding of continuous improvement, as well as tools designed to incorporate the key core work processes that drive strategic decision-making and guide the development, refinement, and implementation of work systems. Additional information about the key core work processes can be found on the Continuous Improvement for Gap Closure webpage. Continuous improvement coaches are available to provide professional learning to schools and districts around the implementation of sustainable systems as they strive to close achievement gaps. The Comprehensive Support and Improvement Educational Recovery website is where schools identified for Comprehensive Support and Improvement, CSI, will find information and resources to assist them in their turnaround efforts. There also is a page for Targeted Support and Improvement, TSI and ATSI schools, including information about our Kentucky Hub schools that provide opportunities to see and hear best and promising practices in action. The Evidence-Based Practices website includes a wealth of resources and links to support the ESSA requirement that school improvement efforts be rooted in evidence-based activities, strategies, or interventions. I'd like to close by inviting you to save the date for the 2021-2022 Continuous Improvement Summit. Due to current restrictions related to the COVID-19 pandemic and out of an abundance of caution, the Kentucky Department of Education, KDE, in partnership with Cognia, canceled its 2020-2021 Continuous Improvement Summit that was scheduled for September 28th and 29th, 2020. Next year's event will be held at the renovated Lexington Convention Center on September 22nd and 23rd, 2021. If you have questions regarding improvement planning or eProve, please contact the District 180 branch in KDE's Office of Continuous Improvement and Support at 502-564-2116. Thank you for joining us.